Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to today's FranTastic InSights. We provide doing this, some of the insights from some of the coolest people in franchising. My name's Ari O'Brien, and I am the VP of Franchise Expansion here at FranServe, which is the largest consulting organization in the world. Our mission is to help people change people's lives through franchise ownership, and we do that through an incredible network of franchisors and franchise consultants that helped our candidates explore different franchise opportunities. Today, I'm super excited to have an outstanding brand with us today, Steve Ritley, who is a VP of Franchise Development with SpeedPro. Thank you so much for being here today, Steve.
Anytime, I look forward to it.
Absolutely. So SpeedPro definitely focuses on a business-to-business type of structure where your franchisees are really building relationships with their local business community. And maybe you can talk a little bit about what that looks like, kind of SpeedPro, what makes them unique and kind of your role in that.
Sure. I'll work backwards. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development. I've been in franchising for a little over 20 years now. I've been in the large format, wide format, sign and graphic industry for about 10 years. So I know this industry really, really well. What really makes SpeedPro unique is that, we're not a signed company. There are a lot of signed companies out there, a lot of signed franchises out there. But because we're a non-retail type of business, we're going to be around 3,000 square feet. We have larger equipment. We have equipment that allows us to do mass orders. So we're not working with the small mom and pop businesses. We're working with, professional sized businesses that have a creative department, a marketing department, and they just need us to finish projects. In fact, we're a strategic partner for a lot of sign companies because they're in the retail world. They have small areas. They don't have large equipment. And so they use us in a lot of instances when they have large orders. So yeah, we're definitely working within the community, building relationships. But again, our franchisees are more professional B2B versus working with consumers.
And that does take a special type of candidate or franchisee that can really make that connection with their local community. It goes far beyond just saying hello and kind of trying to have a conversation with them. So what is SpeedPro looking to do as far as expansion? I mean, SpeedPro is a well-known brand in a lot of different markets. And so what are you guys looking at for, even next year or 5 years?
Yeah. So when I think about the history or the timeline of SpeedPro, they started about 30 years ago in Canada, actually in British Columbia, and then, gradually moved south, into the States. We've got about 175 locations currently in North America. 126, 27. We just had 2 new franchisees sign up recently. And then the rest are in Canada. And what I would say is, over the last 10 years, we were very heavily driven RD, regional director model. And, one thing I would say, it's great for a startup franchise is having a regional director model, but that's not good for franchise development. And so what we did over the last 10 years is remove the regional directors. We still have a few. But now this has opened us up. So now we have a ton of white space to sell. So there are 0 metropolitan markets that are sold out. So when consultants ask, or if, candidates ask, what's available for SpeedPro, they're going to get 3 answers. Either it's available, something's nearby, or there's a resale available. And that's really exciting and why I'm excited about SpeedPro. So, our 1 to 3 to 5 year objective is to sell on average 10 to 15 new markets a year. And, are we ever going to be a 500, 600 unit franchise? Probably not. I think we're right around 300 units, but that's a strategic business decision because our territories are typically twice the size of the other similar or synergistic franchises like us in our industry. So we're doubling the size of our territories, so our franchisees have space from one another and they're not competing with one another.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because I think that, as we've talked about before, because you've been around for so long and there's so much notoriety about your brand, I think that a lot of people think that there's so many areas that are sold out. So it's good to know that there is a lot of availability. And for those candidates that are kind of looking at that resale opportunity, it's such a great model.
I agree.
So with that, what type of franchisee are you really looking for? Do you want somebody that's got some experience in the space, or, somebody that's a really great marketer?
It's funny you say that, because in like an hour, I have a validation group call. So I'm going to do the same thing, but to him. And, it's funny, when I first talked to him, I asked him, what's your background in? And he's like, well, I don't think I qualify. I don't have any graphics related experience. And honestly, that's everybody's answer. When you talk to any of our franchisees, our number one franchisee was an accountant, and people think you have to be in large metropolitan markets to be successful. Our number two is in Rhode Island, and our number three is in Omaha. It really just depends on the franchisee. So to go back to your question, I think it's somebody that is, that can manage projects from start to finish. They can build relationships, not only within their community, but with their staff, with the franchise, with the franchisees, and also, vendors, installers. That's it. I mean, I know I'm giving you a vague answer, but it'd be silly for me to say we're only looking at one background. I just think it's someone that can embrace project, managing projects.
Okay, well, that definitely helps. And I think that gives everybody a really good idea that you don't need a background in printing to come into this model.
And you don't need to have previous B2B sales or B2C sales. You don't need to be a sales superstar. Look, at the end of the day, we're not splitting molecules here. What we're doing is we're printing graphics for companies that already have their graphics and logos. So we just need somebody to follow up when people contact you, and do consultative selling. And we teach everybody that on how to do that. And really, that's within the first couple of weeks after you execute an agreement.
That's great. So what did you guys do when the pandemic hit? Because obviously you're a people face business, yeah, where you've got people in the locations, and with so many, all businesses shutting down for so long. What did your franchisees do? And then what did you do in regards to bringing on new franchisees?
Yeah. So I think the one thing I want to bring up right away is we're owned by private equity, which gave us deep pockets. So we reduced the royalties right away for our franchisees. We realized that this was going to affect our business, and it did, but we pivoted. We started working with other industries. We started doing floor graphics so businesses could communicate with their customers. We were obviously doing a lot of COVID signage. We were doing those plastic dividers, at restaurants. And so we got into a lot of different spaces. And what it did, and we saw this during the Great Recession too, in the late 2000s, the business that went away, and then we pivoted. Now we're here where we are in 2022. All that old business that went away came back. Yeah. And we're having our best year ever in 2022 compared to prior to the pandemic. I mean, when I say our best year ever, every month has been our number one month since January of 2022, or 2022. So it's been pretty remarkable how our franchisees have bounced back. But we wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't have a great private equity. And, what we were doing, and kind of in the background, is, we were helping our franchisees, who weren't doing that well or were ready to retire. We helped them. That's what we focused on during the pandemic, was resales. We didn't want, and this was a business decision. We didn't want the franchisees to think that we were forgetting about them and just trying to grow the system. So what we did is we really concentrated on the system and helped the franchisees who needed the most help. And then if they needed to sell, we helped them sell. And I want everybody to remember that. I mean, this is not a cookie cutter franchise. I've worked for franchises that if your sales aren't at X amount after the first year, they're telling you to sell. You could be as big as you want with this franchise, or you could be as small as you want. And that's what I really love about it.
That's great. It sounds like, you guys are really committed to helping your franchisees, and the support is, I mean, that's huge what you guys did with, lowering those royalties. It really goes a long way. So that's great. So it just sounds like SpeedPro is in for some exciting times. I'm excited to help you guys grow. And, any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, I think, when I talk to folks about this, I try not to focus on what we do, right? We're a large, wide format printing company. But this is a business that you can truly build around your family and your lifestyle. And again, not a cookie cutter franchise. So you can build this business, as large as you want. But if you want to just have a job or a business that's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that's fine too. But I will tell you that, our item 19 is great. And, you can inquire about that, and so it displays well. And that means our franchisees are doing well, and our franchisees are happy.
And that's the main focus.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for being here, Steve. It was a pleasure hearing about SpeedPro.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.